the elements of successful advertising, and this is on any platform really. Stop the scroll could be as simple as getting people's eyes to look outside of the windshield in their car at the billboard, or it could be as people are flipping through all their junk mail, how do you get them to stop at your postcard that you're sending to their house? Or it could be stopping their scroll in the feed of looking at YouTube videos or Facebook or whatever. You want to stop the scroll with that while they're constantly just working through whatever it is that they're working through. Your ads are there to interrupt them, to distract them, to take them away from the place that the eyeballs are and bring them into your advertising, which means you have to get attention. So you have to stop and get their attention. And that means you have to hold their attention long enough for them to understand what it is that you're putting in front of them so that you become known. And so they become known, right? And this means there's two things. One, you become known. So they did not know your brand existed, and now they know your brand existed. A lot of companies that are like, advertising gets easier as you get bigger, simply because you have become known. However, your advertising also gets easier when you start to have your audience become known. And the way that they become known is because you pixel them. You can essentially put cookies on their computers, you can retarget them, you collect email addresses, you track engagement, you get some kind of way of knowing who is your audience so that you can continue to build that audience. You can build that database of people that you can then retarget with ads, because people are more likely to convert when they know you, right? If you have an ad that says red running shoe or red Nike Air Jordan Vintage Edition, the red Nike Jordan Vintage Edition will convert higher and it will sell more because it is known, because it is trusted, because it has value in the eyes of the beholder prior to you even putting the ad up. Before you even sent the ad to the graphic designer, there was value in the product, right? That comes from becoming known, which is why a lot of people, what they do is they just still go here. They just try and get them to click and convert. And this is where they spend. They'll spend years just going bing, 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 bing. And they will never start here and stop people and spend time and effort on getting attention so that you can get them to absorb some kind of piece of content or information about you so that you become known and they become known and you build an audience that you can then retarget. If you're trying to figure out what the value of this is, I want you to consider, like, for all of us in the room, we're all a little, like, there's just a little part of you that's annoyed that there's some 13-year-old kid on YouTube making $2 million a month because he did what? Man, I'm out here working my ass off. And then there's some 13-year-old kid on YouTube mixing slime together and he's making $2 million a month making slime. Mr. Beast, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, or however many Pauls there are these days, right? It's a little party that's like, what the hell is he doing? Were they trying to get people to buy Prime Energy drink, or are they trying to get people to watch their videos? And that's the value of building an audience. Some people will call it brand. And it's true, there is the power of brand, which makes people seek you out or wait in line for your stuff. But it's the reason why The Rock has Terramana, right? It's the reason why Aviation Gin is a thing. It's the reason why Chris Voss is coming out with his own whiskey. Chris Voss from Never Split the Difference coming out with a very cool drink. But he does that because he has a brand. But who's his brand with? It's with business owners. And he's coming out with a drink specifically for entrepreneurs, right? Very cool. And it's the reason why when a guy like Jake Paul, who, if you don't know who he is, ask your kids, they know who he is. But he's been basically making funny videos on the internet for a long time. But then he built an audience first, and then a company who makes drinks. Nobody's ever heard of the company before. They just make bottled drinks for all kinds of people. And they went to Jake and they said, how much do you sell ad space for? And he's like, oh, people pay me 50,000 an episode. And they're like, cute, that's cute money. Now, when you get paid that 50 grand, do you get anything from what sells? No, I just get the 50 grand for the episode or the couple episodes or whatever it is. And he said, okay, great. Here's 3 drinks. Which one do you like the taste of? That one. Okay, great. What do you like? This name or this name? And he picked Prime. And they said, great, we're going to bottle that up and you're going to sell that now. And now he's got a brand that's bigger than Powerade, smaller than Gatorade, and he did it in 2 years. How long took Powerade? 20 years to get where they were, right? To become number 2 to Gatorade, and they've been passed by Prime in 2 years. That's the power of building an audience that you can then retarget and get them to click on your thing and convert. And the way that this all starts is with the power of the pixel. And so I find that an easy way to explain, you hear me talk about shoes a lot. This is an easy way to explain it because a lot of times the digital sphere, people think, oh yeah, it tracks them and then I know them and then I can do things with them. But it's hard to understand, like, what does that mean? You'd be interested to see how pixels track their user behaviors and how they track to analytics. A big part of this is being able to filter because it's tracking everything they're doing. Like anytime your stuff engages with them, it's tracking it. But the problem is you have to then say, I want to be able to send this message to these people who did this thing. And that means you have to set up filters. And because you have privacy rules, you can't just filter 17 people. It's got to be a large data set because that's how this whole Cambridge Analytica thing happened in 2016, where basically the Russians created these Facebook groups that were like, what's your spirit animal? Fill out our survey. And then you fill out your survey and say you're a spirit animal. And then they could basically take a list of 100 people and then retarget them with ads for Hillary or Trump. And then they change the names of the spirit animal fan page to, gun lovers for Hillary or whatever, and it became this whole thing. And so now they had to anonymize the data to the point where you can only retarget large groups of people. And the benefit of this has largely gone to larger advertisers. The more money you spend, the more accurate you can get your data because it won't allow you to narrow down 17 people just because of the nature of privacy.